Ms. Calvez,
Here.
Ms. Carasola,
Here.
Mr. Corey,
Here.
Mr. Hayward,
Here.
Ms. Scarpelli,
Here.
Ms. Stevenson,
Here.
Ms. Rendell,
Here.
Dr. Robinson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Ms. Carosella, are you able to lead us through the flag salute?
Sure.
please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And Mr. Corey, if you're able to read us our mission statement.
Of course. The Glen Rock School District, founded on principles of education in partnership with a supportive community, provides an exceptional education to all students to cultivate resilient, responsible, and engaged global citizens.
All right. Adequate notice of meeting in accordance with PL 1975, Chapter 231. Notice of tonight's meeting was mailed to the Record and the Ridgewood News on January 9th, 2024. Notice of this meeting was also mailed to the Borough Clerk and was posted on the bulletin board of the Board of Education office in the Administration Building on the same date. All right.
Yes, good evening, everyone. We have some very exciting recognitions tonight. First, we'll start off momentarily with Ms. Gomez, and I know a lot of her staff and some of her students are here tonight to speak about Hamilton getting the Blue Ribbon Award this year. Just to reiterate, it is considered to be the highest award that a school could get, and we're very, very proud of Ms. Gomez, her staff, the students at Hamilton. Also includes the students that had graduated that are now in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. A lot of those scores that factored into Hamilton's years of success certainly are the result of those students' hard work as well. In particular, I also want to thank Mr. Van Nest, the supervisors, and Ms. Gomez in particular, also both of our directors, Director Daniel and Director McKay, for all their efforts putting together the application for Blue Ribbon. We were notified in January that we had met the criteria to be a Blue Ribbon school, but that was just step one of very many steps that the team had to take. And I think perhaps the hardest part was us not being able to say anything for several months. But the team put together a very comprehensive application. It was accepted by the New Jersey Department of Education, came back with a couple of changes. We made those changes, and then it went to the Federal Department of Education. They reviewed it, and then we found out minutes before everybody else did on that Monday. So we're very, very excited and proud of our students and staff at Hamilton, and just as we are proud of all of our schools here in Glen Rock. All of our schools and students do well. Hamilton is just another one that got a very prestigious award. So that being said, Ms. Gomez, I'm going to call you up, and we look forward to hearing from you and recognizing your teachers that are here tonight and your students. Ms. Gomez.
All right. Good evening, members of the Board of Ed, Dr. Charleston, Mr. Van Ness, and Mr. Canales. It's truly an honor to stand before you tonight to celebrate this remarkable achievement, the recognition of Alexander Hamilton, our school, as a National Blue Ribbon School. This prestigious award is a reflection of the hard work, dedication, and celebration of our entire school community. It represents the countless hours of effort of our staff, our students, and families, what they've put in to ensure that our school is a place of excellence, not just in academics, but in a culture of care and connection. We take great pride in the diverse and dynamic environment we've created at our school. At Hamilton, we are a community where students feel seen, heard, and supported. Yes, academic achievement matters, and our students continually demonstrate excellence in their achievement, in their performance. But this award is about more than just our test scores. It's about how we built a school where kindness, teamwork, and resilience are woven into everything that we do. When reflecting on what sets us apart from other high-ranking and high-achieving schools in our state and country, I often find myself thinking about the little things that standardized tests and school report cards don't measure. The metric I think that provides our school the winning edge is how we rally around each other. Whether it's teachers supporting students, teachers supporting their colleagues, or students helping their peers, Team Hamilton truly operates as one. This sense of belonging, of being united in our purpose, is at the core of our success. Every single member of our community plays a role in this achievement, and this blue ribbon is a testament to that teamwork. I want to take a moment to acknowledge and thank our outstanding staff. Their dedication to our student success goes far beyond the classroom. They are mentors, cheerleaders, and guides who pour their hearts into this work every day. Our teachers set the bar high for our students, but they also make sure every child knows they are supported, valued, and loved. I also want to express my gratitude to our families who partner with us in so many ways. Your partnership and involvement are crucial to our school's success. Whether it's volunteering, cheering on your child's achievements, or working with us to ensure every student has what they need to thrive, we could not do this without you. And finally, I want to speak about our incredible students. These are the true stars of tonight's celebration. Especially, I'd like to recognize our 5th grade leaders who were elected by their peers to represent them. These students exemplify the very best of what our school stands for. They're leaders not in their academic successes, but also in how they embody kindness, integrity, and service to others. As you listen to them speak tonight, you'll understand why this award truly belongs to them. So thank you for the opportunity to celebrate this exciting moment in Hamilton's story. To our staff, our families, and most importantly, our students, thank you for making our school such a special place to learn and grow. This blue ribbon is for all of us, and I couldn't be happier and prouder to celebrate it with you.
Hello, my name is Wyatt Rowe, and I'm here as the 5th grade mayor of Alexander Hamilton School. As of 2024, Alexander Hamilton School has been elected as one of the 9 Blue Ribbon schools of New Jersey. I'm very grateful that our students and our teachers have been working very hard in order to win this award. Becoming a Blue Ribbon school is a very high honor, and it's proof that the Huskies never give up. We have all come to this meeting to share some of the reasons as to why we think Alexander Hamilton School is worthy of the Blue Ribbon.
Hello, my name is Ava, and I'm one of the hundreds of students who made the Blue Ribbon Award possible. In fact, I think that we won this award because of all of our students. The picture in the Blue Ribbon announcements video shows Hamilton students doing an outstanding job being engaged, creative, and hardworking. We have fun while we are learning and try our best each day. This award is shared by students who have graduated from Hamilton and current students at our school. I'm so excited to be a 5th grader this year and be a Hamilton leader. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Gracelyn Kelly, and I'm a 5th grader at Hamilton. I'm very thankful to be able to talk about how great Hamilton is. As you know, Hamilton is a Blue Ribbon school, and every student at Hamilton made it possible with their hard work. And of course, we wouldn't have won if it wasn't for our teachers, too. Their support helps us every day. Teachers are flexible and creative in making sure that every student at Hamilton learns and understands that's best for them. They make learning fun with science lessons and word study games. They prepare us for the NJSLA, but more importantly, teach us lessons about life. I am very proud of Hamilton, and I can say that Hamilton feels the same way too. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Maddie Mulkeen, and I'm a 5th grader at Hamilton. Hamilton has won the Blue Ribbon because we have worked very hard to make sure our school is a special place for everyone. In Hamilton, we have special events like the Multicultural Festival, which is a day where everyone at Hamilton learns about other people's cultures and their own cultures in a fun and exciting way. There are even cultural dances to give students ideas of what someone's family culture is all about. There is also a week of respect, which was actually last week. week of respect, students learn how to respect other people and make people feel comfortable. We also learn about our feelings and how to handle them with our school-wide ruler program. This is why Hamilton has won the blue ribbon. Way to go, Team Hamilton.
Thank you for inviting us today and letting us show our school pride. Hamilton really is the best team ever.
I didn't see you show up. Did you walk late?
Oh, yeah, okay. Thank you.
Those are shirts.
Yeah, no, they came out nice.
I'll deliver some.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation, Mrs. Gomez. I remember a couple years ago, members of the community had asked, what were some things that we could think about in terms of other schools and obtaining the blue ribbon. And I'm really excited to be able to even be here, seeing that whole process actually follow through and get another award for one of our schools. We know that all of our schools are performing at this level as our curriculum and instruction allow for that equitable level of education. So I'm really just, personally, I can say that I'm proud. Are there any other board members that have any comments? Ms. Rendell.
I just want to say that I'm very proud of all the work that's gone in. I know it was a lot of work, but I truly think it highlights all of the wonderful progressive things that are going on in our education. So I just want to say thank you to Dr. Charleston and his team for a very, very high accomplishment. Thank you.
All right. All right. Dr. Charleston, the National Merit.
Yes, so now we have Dr. Lauren Daniel, who's our Director of Student Personnel Services, and she will be recognizing our National Merit Scholarship Program semi-finalists. Dr. Daniel.
Good evening, everyone. As the 2025 National Merit Scholarship Competition progresses, standout students across the country have been named semi-finalists, showcasing exceptional academics and dedication to their studies. Each year, semi-finalists are selected based on their performance on the PSAT and MSQT, placing them among the top scorers nationwide. To put into perspective, over 1.3 million juniors entered the National Merit Scholarship Program by taking the PSAT last October. Roughly 16,000 students nationwide out of 1.3 million have been named semi-finalists, and 3 of them are from Glen High School. we would like to congratulate and recognize the semifinalists in the 2025 National Merit Scholarship Competition. They are Jeremy Bedwell Cole, Sophie He, and Ethan Sang.
All right, we'll just give a moment for the change in the program. All right. So before we begin the rest of our CAL meeting or Committee of the Whole meeting, this is our next meeting after we had quite a charged meeting last meeting, right? We all know, everyone knows. And I think there were a few board members that have wanted to say something, so I wanted to give everyone the opportunity to just address each other, each other formally, address each other, address the community, whatever it is that, we feel like we need to say at this moment before we begin the rest of our meeting. Are there any board members that have something? Ms. Rendell?
All right, so I'll start. So it's been a rough few weeks. Speaking just from my perspective, it was disappointing to be so harshly judged by people who don't understand the role of a trustee. I'm not here to give you my opinion. I simply want to give everyone a basic level of understanding when it comes to us voting. I will speak generally, and I will not comment on any specific vote. So to start, what are we voting on when we're asked to appoint a hire recommended by the superintendent? The board is responsible for being able to answer 3 questions affirmatively. Does the new hire meet board policy with state certification? Does the new hire fall within our budget and align with the contract? And was the process equitable, and did it follow our standard procedure? The board may not be involved in the interview process. You may not influence the interview or hire any other candidate. The board is not entitled to know any of the candidates that were not offered the job. There are a number of reasons our job is defined this way, but the 2 reasons that make the most sense to me: first, for the board to assume responsibility of a hire, we would essentially erode the superintendent's ability to hold them accountable. There is no mechanism for the administration to evaluate the board. This is a very dangerous game for us to play. Second, the board to influence the hiring of any employee other than the superintendent, it destroys the integrity of a system that is designed to hire the best candidate. How can a group of people not allowed to be part of the hiring process be expected to vote on the quality of a candidate? We're not. But that is where trust comes into play. It's no secret that I trust our administration, and I'm not sure why that's a bad thing. I've been around now for a while. I've seen how this administration works. I've seen the results. I have spent a lot of time doing this job, and it matters to me. There's no doubt that I trust these very capable educational experts to make the best educational decision for our kids. I stand behind them and the long list of accomplishments made by this district. We were just awarded another blue ribbon. We now have 2 blue ribbon schools in our district. I am proud of the work Dr. Charleston has done. I'm confident in his team, and I trust that their efforts are for the benefit of our students. We are a thriving district. Let's not throw it away. I want to be very clear tonight that I intend to continue doing my job. I will work to maintain the integrity of the system, a system that it safeguards us from corruption and liability. I will continue to raise my voice and challenge what I believe is wrong. Which brings me to my final point. I have to address the comments on Facebook accusing me of smirking and laughing at kids while they spoke. Those comments were disgusting and hurtful. I was gutted listening to those kids speak. Those kids are my daughter's best friends, my kids, my friends' kids, kids I have personally coached for years, kids that are like family to me. But yes, maybe I did smile. I was still proud of them. They spoke with respect and passion. They were intelligent and thoughtful. So maybe I did smile, thinking how great they were. But shame on anyone that tries to give people, especially those kids, the impression that I am anything other than proud of them. What are we here for if it is not for them? That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Rendell. Are there any other board members that have anything that they want to say? No? Okay. I think, as we have, Ms. Carr vacated her seat on the last meeting, so we are in the process of interviewing candidates, and we do have some that have been submitted, and, you'll see a notice for a meeting on Thursday for interviews. One of the challenges that has become apparent, for me, this is my 4th year in the position, and it is really hard to spend a lot of time, spend so much time volunteering for my community. I can speak personally that I came from a military background, and I thought, as I'm leaving active duty service, what do I want to do? Okay, I have a spirit of volunteerism. I'd like to figure out what I can do in the community. And so asking a variety of people, what can you do? There's different committees. You can, participate on town council. You can participate with the library and things like that. And I thought for me personally that participating within the educational system would be something that's impactful. And over the years, I've, every time we go for elections, we're always asking and encouraging. Our professional association encourages us to reach out to the community and say, hey, this is what we do as the board. Would you be interested? And almost it's like pulling teeth, honestly. Whenever I speak with anybody, I'm like, hey, what do you think about the board? Would you do the board and things like that? And the vast majority of people tell me no, tell me that they wouldn't want to do it because they don't want to be, put themselves up for public criticism, or, or they don't think that they like, certain people, or that they just don't have the time. And I can speak with the challenge of us, planning extra meetings, that it really feels like none of us have the time. Every last one of us that's sitting up here is extremely busy. And talking with each one of these members that sit next to me, I can tell you that, we do it for the kids. We do it for the people that we love that are sitting, some in the audience and out in the community, that we're really sitting here to give back to the community. There's no professional gain from sitting here. There's no personal gain from me sitting here. I don't get anything else from this position. It's really just finding a way to give back and to volunteer for things that a lot of people do not want to do. And it's really challenging when, we're all gonna make mistakes. We're all human. I'm not gonna be perfect as a board member. I don't anticipate that anyone that would take Ms. Carr's seat would be perfect. And our ultimate goal, even for me taking on presidency this year, is just to find a way to cohesively work together with respect amongst us, between our community, and with administration and just move forward and move the district going forward. We're doing well, and how can we find ways to highlight those things and do better, you know? And so, you know, I'm looking forward to, you know, the candidates that we have coming up and really getting a sense of, you know, what the next wave of people that we have on the board, even after election, and just really getting a sense of what we can do to be more cohesive, how we can work with the community better, and then how we can also individually not feel like we're being persecuted by the very people that we are working and volunteering for. You know, we don't want to be mowed down at the grocery store, or stand in line with pick up with our own kids, because very many of us have kids that are in the district and things like that. And so if we can all just continue with a level of respect and knowing that we're really, really, really trying hard to be good at this job, and spending a lot of personal time that we could be spending individually with our family. And we do appreciate the feedback that we get from the community. And I would love when you send us emails, and even, you know, there will be complaints, not saying that that's not appropriate. It would be great as well for you to also insert some suggestions for how you think that things could improve from your perspective. And it really helps with the communication. We'll be investigating like some additional ways that we can reach out to the community and get that feedback and go from there. So thank you. All right. Barring no other comments? Yeah,
Let's
Ms.
say real quickly. Just thank you to you for that statement and for your leadership. You've always led with empathy and respect for the individual, and I know it's been hard the past couple of weeks through what I've read on social media, some of the campaign propaganda, I'll call it, and some of the emails. So, you know, to the administration, I want to say I wish there was more focus on the good, the success and the progress. And to Damali, just thank you for representing us. Your voice has been great in all of your responses, and even now the way you address everything that's happening. I hope it's clear to everyone that we do all care. We do want to hear concerns. We want to celebrate with you successes. And yeah, we're volunteers and we're happy to be here, and we're friends, not enemies.
Thank you, Ms. Carousel. All right. Oh, yes, Mr. Corey.
To share, Stephanie shared this with me the other week, and I thought it was just helpful because it's been rolling around in my mind. New Jersey State Board Association describes the challenge of our role. The school board has a dual role: to represent the concerns of the citizens, taxpayers, and parents to the school administrators, and to represent the needs of the students in the school district to the citizens, taxpayers, and parents of our community. I think you said that wholesomely, fulsomely. It takes a discussion to break that little statement out, and it really takes it underscores the challenge, what we have to do. We have to manage a budget, listen to parents, not get involved, but be involved. So thanks for putting it out there, and appreciate your leadership throughout this time.
Thank you, Mr. Corey. All right. All right. So on to the business of this meeting. Dealing with personnel, can I have a motion to discuss resolutions P1 through P2? Mr. Corey, seconded by Ms. Scarpelli. Any questions, comments regarding P1?
Yeah, thank you. My children are all in Hamilton right now, so it's a bit of a interesting change. They've been enjoying Spanish. They have not learned Spanish. So this is a chance for them to learn Mandarin. I think they just simply asked, oh, why? And I'm supposed to know all the answers, right? I'm dad, I'm on the board. But I thought it'd be great to just explain a little bit of the opportunity that we had, the challenges that we're trying to solve. I know there's been discussion about different languages throughout the high school, and other parents in the community have just asked that through that channel, saying, hey, what's happening, and is this related, or like how is this, how are we solving a problem or addressing a need? So it's just a good topic to put some light on what we're doing right here.
Yeah, I think
So I think, just want to make sure I answer the question. You just want me to expand about how Mandarin got here through the elementary program?
Yeah.
So we had a resignation in early August of one of our elementary Spanish teachers. And we had advertised quickly, as we always do, for a replacement Spanish teacher. And this was an issue that we had last year as well. We could not find a replacement for elementary Spanish. So in meeting with the elementary principals, we decided to advertise for all the languages that we offer at the high school and middle school. So we advertised for French, Latin, Mandarin, Spanish, and also we added American Sign Language as well. We did get a French applicant that we interviewed that was not a candidate we thought was a good fit, but we did get several Mandarin certified candidates. So through that process, we found a very strong candidate teacher who accepted the position. And in meeting with the principals and Mr. Van Nest, we decided that we would split it up with Spanish half a year at 2 of the elementary schools, Mandarin at the other 2, and then flip it. As people may or may not be aware, but the world languages are offered 1 day per week, and it's more of a learning about the culture, not as much about the language. And we thought, since we do offer Mandarin in the middle school and high school, it would be a good transition to expose students to those 2 languages, and then they have choices when they get to the middle school. We do know that because of low enrollment with Mandarin in the middle and high school, that we only offer Mandarin in grades 7 through 12, and the other 3 languages, French, Latin, and Spanish, are offered in 6th grade on a rotational basis. And we have a new class at the board-approved 6th grade seminar, which replaced the rotation with Mandarin. And that was done for a couple of reasons, but the biggest one was a staffing issue that we had at the time. So we're going to proceed with the plan we have now, which we think we have 2 strong teachers. Actually, we know we have 2 strong teachers in the elementary schools for Mandarin and Spanish. Our students will be exposed to those courses, to those languages over the next several years, depending on their grade, and then they have options when they get to middle school. It's not our intention to eliminate a world language from the middle or high school. We would like to continue to add, but at the end of the day, it does come down to enrollment and our sheer numbers of what we can and can't offer. But that was a thought process behind that decision, which was fully supported by, obviously, myself, Mr. Van Ness, but in particular, I give credit to the principals for kind of thinking outside the box and trying to come up with a creative way to provide a certified teacher to work with our students. I hope that answers the question.
That's great. Yeah, the elementary school principals are in charge of a lot, so getting their feedback is fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want, do you have it? Can I borrow? Oh, any other P questions? And we can call roll, Mr. Canellis.
Ms. Calves,
Yes.
Ms. Carasolo,
Yes.
Mr. Corey,
Yes.
Mr. Hayward,
Yes.
Ms. Scarpelli,
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson,
Yes.
Ms. Rendell,
Yes.
Dr. Robinson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, for general, can we talk about policy?
So as everyone's aware, the Board of Education, one of their main roles is policy. Policy are sort of, think of them as like Congress, the lawmakers. So they write the policy that dictates how we as administration execute and run the district. The board has always wanted to review old policies and make sure they're current and up to date. So in the appendix and in backup, the board will see that we have a policy on class size, and in particular, there was a change. We had added a central registrar who maintains the wait list for students that move into the district that want to go to another, they're assigned Bird and they want to go to Central or whatever. The policy as it read, that was maintained by the building administrators, which just was not accurate. It's actually maintained by the central registrar. So it's our suggestion, again, this is, falls under the board's authority, but it's our suggestion to make that policy accurate and to say that it's the central registrar that does that. It's the only change to that policy. Your other option could be superintendent or designee, if you wanted to give yourself more flexibility, but it's not accurate to say that the building administrators do that, because they do not.
Are there any questions specifically about this for Dr. Charleston? So now we just have to decide.
Yeah, there's no questions. This will be on for second reading at the next meeting. If the board's happy with central registrar, or if they would prefer superintendent or designee, either one is fine with me.
Okay. All right. I mean, central registrar sounds okay for everyone? Okay. All right. All right. Next item. That was 2631. And then CUSAC.
Yeah, so we have a review. I'll go over real quick. So we have just a review, no changes here for CUSAC, which is 2331. As people are aware, Glen Rock is going through the CUSAC monitoring process again. It's every 3 years. It involves 5 what we call district performance reviews. My office oversees governance and personnel. Greg oversees instruction and programming, and James oversees finance and operations. Some of us touch different areas. There's some of James's stuff is in governance, some of my stuff's in some of the things in James. But at the end of the day, our job over these last several weeks, starting in August, is to put data, evidence into a file that the county office will review and say, hey, yes, you did this, you get points for that, if that makes sense. We have a committee, which Ms. Carasola is on, and she'll be speaking about shortly. But this policy here in front of you outlines exactly, probably in a much more intelligent way than what I just said, but outlines what the CUSAC process is and the responsibilities of the district. For the boards, what's going to come to you will be the DPRs, which will be signed by the committee, and that will be on November 11th. The board will certify that, and then that will get submitted to the county office no later than November 15th. And then the county will start what they call a desk audit, which is from, obviously, their office. They'll be able to look at everything we submitted, and then they will come out and see us probably in February to do a site visit. Well, they'll sit down with Greg and his team to go through our curriculum, to sit down with me and Ms. Babin to go over all of our HR and personnel records. They'll do site visits to the schools to look at our facilities and operations and things along those lines. But the majority of it is done as remotely in what they call a desk audit. So again, nothing to change here, just I think it's good for the board to review and get an idea of what's coming down the pike on November 11th. And I don't want to take anything away from Ms. Carasola because she's up next.
You basically took
No,
everything away from me. I think all my notes. Yeah, the committee met. It was great. It was very eye-opening for me since I wasn't part of this before, since it's every 3-year process. But this is some of the paperwork that just talks about what is needed. You mentioned the 5 areas, but it includes things like graduation rates, curriculum alignment, auditing, professional development, things like that. It's very comprehensive, very thorough. And it's a lot of information that's being collected. So if anyone's totally unfamiliar with it, I know you said it's the state's monitoring and district self-evaluation system for public school districts. So it really evaluates our performance and capacity. So I think you said everything else I wanted to say. Does anyone know what CUSAC stands for?
I would love for you to tell us.
Quality, single, accountability, continuum.
Last time, I believe we were a high-performing district, and I expect we'll be so again, based on the evidence I saw at our last meeting. So we're meeting again the end of this month.
Yeah, so when we meet, I think it's October, I think it's before the next board meeting. Ms. Carasola, we have 2 teachers. The GREA nominates or selects 2 teachers to be on that committee. They did. The GRAA selects 1 person to be on that committee. They did. And then we have our central office people, which consists here. We have Ms. Babin from HR as well. We will go through all of the nearly 100 indicators to make sure that we have evidence for that. For the district to be considered high performing, you must score an 80% or higher in all 5 of the areas. We will certainly score either perfect or maybe lose a point here or there on one area. So we will be a high performing district. If you remember, last time we lost 2 points, or 2 things, 3 points each. One was we didn't spend enough money in a grant quick enough. So that was news to us. And then the other one, if you remember, was we submitted something on Friday that was due on Monday, but they didn't read it until Monday afternoon, so they considered it late. So that's where we lost our points there. So we had 97 and 97 in 2 areas, 100 and 100 in another area. In instruction and programming, a large percentage of your points are based on your test scores. Our test scores are always very strong, but they won't be a perfect score, just by the nature of the tests. So we'll be high performing, we'll go through it, it's just a lot of work, and it's good for us, gives us a check on what we're doing well and what we can focus on for improvements in the future. And it's nice to have the county office come out and share with us best practices and things along those lines. And I do appreciate Ms. Carasola and the members of the committee. They're putting a lot of effort into this, making sure that it's comprehensive what we're submitting, and again, it's much appreciated.
Thank you very much. Any other questions regarding CUSAC from the board? Nope. All right. Looking forward to the future. All right, for instruction and program, we have 3 old business items. Dr. Charleston, do we have anything with the elementary intervention coaches?
Yeah, so I'll talk about a couple of these things here. First, just to give you an update, as you know, in the spring you realigned some of the coaching positions and those kind of things. So I just want to kind of fill you on how things are going. And the answer is things are going well. I've been working with the coaches. I meet with them every other week. They are with their principals all the time. So they're working very closely with the INRS teams. They're looking at data. They're looking at the referral process for INRS. We've done a lot of work with that and streamlining a lot of those things, making the referral form an online form, for example, and a better way of collecting data and making it all much more data-driven, which is great. They have, the coaches worked with their principals to plan PD this afternoon for their staff in their buildings, working on Tier 1 supports and really planning that out. They themselves are doing the math BSI, as you know, we realigned it that way. So they started working with the math BSI kids in the last week or 2, I think, as far as it's the identification process to see who is eligible, who needs it, who needs what. We're looking into, I put into the budget this year for the Title II funds that we get, which is for professional development. Some of that money we're going to be using to send, I think, one of the coaches to a Jim Knight coaching PD. I saw him at a conference last year, and he does a week-long institute for coaches that I think is going to be really good about the coaching impact cycle is how he describes it. But he's very good, and I think that would be well worth our grant money to send one of them there. They have also, I told you I meet with them every other week, but we also coordinate. So I'm in meetings all afternoon. They're not. They're part of it, and then I have the supervisors with them, and then I have just the supervisors. So they're overlapping with them, and we're talking and supporting each other through that as well. So they're part of that larger conversation. Moving on to MTSS and kind of a bigger framework for the district. I already talked about intervention coaches. Today, as you know, we had a half day of PD for staff, and we did that by building. We didn't bring them all here as we have done in the past. And really they worked on professional development for these tiers of instruction, especially Tier 1. I was here briefly with Michelle Gelando as she was leading it here, talking about the process, talking about the overall structure. Then they broke into departments to talk about what they can do in their own departments. talked about the difference between accommodations and modifications, because we often just throw those two words out as if they are the same thing, and they are not. We're looking at similar kinds of work going on at the elementary schools. I wasn't at those because I was up here, but I know the coaches and principals were working with their staff. So as you recall, one of the things that we were excited about, and still are, with the way we redefine the coaches, is that they are in a building all day long and really building that team there, which I think is going to be really powerful for our teachers and for our students. And then the last few things that I want to just kind of put on your radar, we are using funds from various grants to support some of this professional learning. So we had the IDEA funds were being used for John Ali Consulting. I think that was on the last agenda. You also on the last agenda, we had Title IIA funds for the math professional development for the high school math teachers. A lot of that is focused on tiers of instruction, small group instruction, responsive instruction, those kinds of things that we're talking a lot about this year. And then you've also approved the Title III funds, which is for multi-language learners, and that's for professional development in Hamilton. So those are the things we've been doing so far, and it's only October. So a lot going on, and I'm pretty excited to see how it's shaping up.
Thank you, Mr. Mendez. I do have a question. So do you have, like, what would be like a broad timeline for the MTSS process in terms of like what like phases do you see it going through?
This year, what we're really focusing on is that tier 1 of instruction. How do teachers in the general ed classroom support the learning for all of their learners at once, right? So as we move on, we're going to be talking a lot more about tier 2, which would be more of that small group kind of instruction, and tier 3 is much more focused on special education, which we're always working on as well. But this year, the primary focus is what can you do as a teacher to differentiate, to support, to enrich, to all of those kinds of things, and that's really what we're hitting on right now.
And like what, like in terms of the breadth of this project, like how many years do you think it takes for you to get to your end goal? Just generally, like.
A few. It's
years.
probably going to be, I mean, this year is mostly going to be tier 1, looking at that, and then moving on, especially, and to be honest, I was a high school teacher. It's harder at the high school level. Moving on beyond tier 1 instruction when you have 5 classes and 120 kids. And what do we do for tier 2 in middle and high school? And mostly what we're talking about with tier 2 and that more support for students at the middle school and high school is much more about the social and emotional component. So we've done a lot of that with the wellness room and the wellness counselors and those kinds of things. It's not a lot of the academic support, but I think there's a need for that. So that'll be the thing we'll be looking at next.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Van Ness? All right, thank you.
All right, so I'm going to talk briefly about our Beijing Academy student exchange, or student and staff exchange program. As some of you may be aware, we had 17 BA students, Beijing Academy students, and 2 teachers come here for a little more than 2 weeks, and they stayed with host families. I do have some of the host families here. I'd like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Rendell, Mr. and Mrs. Carosella. Ms. Calvez helped us with a placement, and they all got eggs for that, so they could feed their families for being eaten out of their house by welcoming teenagers. And I think back there I have Grandma and Grandpa Rendell, right? And they took exchange students as well. So I do think it was a wonderful experience. This is something that tried to start when I got here. COVID slowed it down, but now it's back up and running. You may be aware in June, we sent, I believe, 7 students and 2 teachers to Beijing for, I think it was 8 or 9 days. I do believe Miss Rendell's one of her sons went on that trip. We returned the favor with their students coming here. So it looks like we're in a pretty good exchange now, where our kids will go there in June, their kids will come here at the end of September and October. There is another trip coming up in December that me and Miss Giorlando will be attending. It's their International Professional Development Conference. That's where we go and we present. We also build relationships and work on future exchanges with Beijing Academy and perhaps other sister schools. That is fully paid for by Beijing Academy, so they'll pay for our flight, room and board, meals, and everything. And so we're looking forward to that trip. And again, that will help set up the trip in June. And our goal is to get away from sending supervisors or administrators. Really want it to be teacher-run with our students. And I fully expect with the June trip, many of our students wanting to go. Just to get an idea, again, if I'm repeating myself, I apologize. But when our students go, as of now, to visit Beijing, all they have to do is pay for their airfare. Everything else is paid for from the time they land. We don't return the same favor here. So when they come here, a lot more is on them, and that's fine. But I do know our host families spent a lot of money, and again, it doesn't go unnoticed, and it's much appreciated. And if you have any feedback in terms of how the hosting went, please let me or Ms. Della Fortuna know so we can make adjustments going forward. The first adjustment that we're already going to make is only 1 week with the host family next year versus the 2 weeks, which seemed to be a stretch on the families, and we're aware of that. But there were a lot of tears when the students left this time. And so they made some friendships, they learned a lot about each other, and I think it's just a great way for us to expand, as I like to say, the proverbial four walls of a school and get our students out into the real world and learn from other students and cultures. So again, it'll be on the next agenda for a trip in December for me and Ms. Giorlando. Again, 99% is paid for by Beijing Academy. The only cost you'll see there will be a visa that Ms. Giorlando has to get. I already have a visa, and then parking at the airport. Happy to answer any questions or listen to other people who had hosted.
We were a host, and it was a great experience. I'm a habitual volunteer, so when I see something and you need people, I'm like, me, with not knowing what it was really about. So the experience for my own son was incredible. The relationship he formed with the student, the trips that he got to go to, the dialogues he was part of in school, it was really amazing for him. So I'm thrilled that this time when I raised my hand and my family had to kind of come along, it really did benefit him in a way that was very special. And we loved introducing the student to Glen Rock and our friends, and a lot of people miss our student Yo-Yo, and we hope we can keep in touch with him. But I really think it's fabulous and hope that we can grow the program with maybe other schools. It was just, the impact was huge. So thank you for the opportunity.
We also did host with my parents. My parents had two, and we had two. So we had a lot of kids. I think one of the greatest things was, well, one, we spent a lot of family time over 2 weeks, which of high schoolers and middle schoolers, so it doesn't always happen. It was a really great time for our family to be together. And then the other thing was, since Henry, my middle son, went to China last year, his student that he was paired up with did not come here, but they were able to FaceTime with him, with our kids. So he was able to have that relationship, and that kind of built on itself. Now they have each other's social media accounts, and it's definitely something bigger than I anticipated it to be, and it was incredibly beneficial for not just my kids, but our whole family, my extended family included.
Thank you, thank you. I know I'm excited to hear more and to see the partnership grow. So thank you for bringing this opportunity to the district.
No, it's our pleasure. We really enjoy that. It's not, as I say, it's not a vacation going there for a short period of time and coming back, right? It's a lot of work. But when we see all the good experiences and learning opportunities that our students get both here and there, I think it's worth it. And we are in the process of trying to develop additional relationships with sister schools. Right now, we're having conversations with schools in France and schools in Finland. So we're trying to get a couple. I want to see if I can get one in South America so we can hit different continents. So our students have all these different options going forward. But for right now, I think the Beijing Academy and the Czech Republic exchanges seem to be going well, and we'll keep them up.
Excellent. Thank you. Right, so I see nothing in special services. Looking at management and community, if we have the demographic report update.
Yeah, so I'm just sharing that the contract, the PO was cut, contract was signed. Dr. Grip from Statistical Forecasting has requested a lot of data from us. We provided that. I think we're waiting for a couple of things. Tomorrow is October 15th. That's our big, what we would say is our data dump that the state required. It's a big day for us to make sure that we get all the information in there. That's how our state aid is calculated. That's our anticipated enrollment for the following year. Dr. Grip gets a lot of that data as well, and he starts to formulate his report. He still says he's on track to be done in January and February, and as we shared in the contract, we will be bringing him here to present in person, and hopefully that's, I'm hoping January or early February, so we have information leading up into the budget process.
Okay, excellent. All right, on to business, fiscal management.
All right, so we just have a couple of items to review. First and foremost, just an update on the paraprofessional and substitute bids that we have put out. We're going to be opening those up on Halloween, and we will report back to the board. Also, at our next meeting, you will approve our budget calendar. It is substantially similar to what we did last year in terms of dates and objectives and deliverables at the different points in time. Some broad highlights, we'll be launching our building-based budgets on the 30th of this month. We'll be doing salary projections through the months of November and December. On November 25th, we are scheduled to have our auditor present for us to accept the 23-24 audit. We'll be having our building meetings with principals and directors in January. The board will get a copy of the budget in that first week of February. We will then approve a preliminary budget in March and a final budget in April. So that'll be on the agenda for your acceptance at our next meeting.
All right, thank you very much. Now, are we on to operations?
Sure. So some updates on some of the projects that we're working on. So first is our preschool. So as we know, when we provided a contract to our contractors, we had an allowance in there for unforeseen things that come up. And so one of the two things have come up, and we just want to give you an update. So the first is there is a waste pump down there that we believe is as old as the building. And it was decided that in the abundance of caution, it would be best to replace that pump as opposed to doing a whole bunch of construction down there and having it go and then having to rip out and replace. So that there's going to be an allowance there for $22,000. We also, in a very aesthetic decision, wanted our Airedale unit ventilators. So these classrooms won't have the ventilators that go across. The Airedales go vertical. It allows for more light and what have you in the classroom. We wanted to match it up on our grayish colors scheme that we had going there. So that cost us an additional $2,700. So in essence, we've used $25,000 of our allowance of $100,000. So we have $75,000, left over. We also had an allowance on our lower field lights project come in. So we had gotten a request to have an electrical pedestal put down somewhere around midfield so that we could have power actually on the field, whether that be for the scoreboard or for the coaches on either side. So that is going to run us an additional $7,700 against a allowance of $112,000. So we have $104,000 left to spend there. So that's kind of our update on allowances. Now for some change orders. So as you know, we're going through our ESIP project. And so our ESIP project was set up with some contingency in it. And so now we're starting to see some of those items come in. So we have change order number 2, which is very similar to change order number 1 that the board approved a couple months ago, which was for some electrical upgrades for rooftop units over at Coleman School. Now the vendor has gotten around to the high school, and so we have in that same like kind replacement. Things have changed over the years, and we need some electrical upgrades, running the district an additional $50,893. We also have my favorite kind of change order, which is a give back. So we're getting back $7,000 as a result of some piping and insulation work that the district did between the time that we contracted with them and them coming out to the field. So we'll be getting $7,000 back there. Just to remind you, change order number 1 for the electrical upgrades at Coleman was $66,000. So we have about a contingency right now of $226,000 left over. The way the contingency will work at the end is they are going to be providing us with a master commissioning report that's going to give us a list of potential projects that we could use that money on, or we can just decide to save that money and put it towards paying down the interest and or the principal on the bonds that were issued to cover the ESIP. So we'll have a decision at that point. Some bid information. So last Tuesday, we opened up bids for our Coleman roof. Just to remind you, that was the rod project that we were going to do last summer, but upon review of the extent of the work needed, we wanted to take the time to actually bid it out because it was more of a tear down and replace as opposed to a resurface. So we put those bids out. We opened them up, and our lowest bid, which will be on our next action meeting, came in at about $30,000 favorable. So we're kind of happy about that, especially since bids have been very erratic as of late, and so one that really was based on numbers that are now almost 3 years old has come in favorable. So we're really excited. It's currently in review, and like I said, it'll be on the 28th for your award. And then lastly is this Friday, we have a bid opening for our exterior stairs up here at the high school from the gym. If you remember, that was the bid that had come in about $142,000 over budget, and we decided, you guys decided as a board to reject all of the offers and that we would rebid again. So fingers crossed, and we will hopefully have that as well on the next agenda for approval by the board. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Canales. I wanted to take the opportunity to just answer some questions that I had received just from the board members, and just to highlight some of the things over what we've done for like a past year and a half with regards to the preschool grant. So just like to brush up, the grant doesn't allow for new construction, and please, Dr. Charleston or Mr. Canales, step in if I say anything incorrect. So it doesn't allow for new construction, it's only for renovation. One of the goals of the grant is, from the state of New Jersey, is to bring universal preschool to as many communities as possible, and it seeks to provide increased access to early education. So the government did allot $120 million of funding to 27 school districts, including ours, which have been awarded the funds to create preschool seats, and they've increased the seats by, I believe, about 3,500 seats. And there's actually a tremendous amount of money that was allotted to that grant that the vast majority of school districts actually just didn't apply for, or for whatever reason. And so it is nice to be able to bring expansion of our preschool program to this district. So just some of the budget numbers I've shared with each of the board members. We are well within our budget. We received a $170,000 grant, which is, very substantial. The project is a little over, maybe let's say $2.5 million, and $870,000 is money from the state. There's been many iterations, many presentations over the past year and a half. We've received input from, all sorts of stakeholders, including like preschool and elementary CPAC. I remember one of the feedbacks from all of those parents were that they would like some fixed age-appropriate equipment to the playground, and I understand that that has been addressed. So we really appreciate that feedback. I had the opportunity to see the space in the current state of construction last week, and it looks like it's going to be, a state-of-the-art space with dedicated therapy room, 3 classrooms, and it has 2 emergency exits that are, dedicated for our little ones. We have an elevator that takes students that need elevator access down to the classrooms. It is well lit. It will be well lit. Like I see massive windows in each of those areas, in addition to the additional light that will be there. The opportunity for our children to all be integrated with special needs as well as general education students. The potential for additional high school programs that support the learning of these children. It will be an upgrade to our current preschool options. I just wanted to kind of highlight some of these things, or, mention that to the board members today and see if there were any additional questions. One thing to note is we're going to be able to tour the area. I was hoping that it would be able to be tonight, but based on the way that the construction was done, like Thursday is actually a better night for it. So hopefully everyone's able to come Thursday and we'll be able to see the space, and it'll just based on what they've done since I saw it on Thursday, that it's better for us to walk the space on Thursday. So anticipating that, that's what I have for so far. Any other questions or comments? All right, more to follow on Thursday. Oh, yeah. Oh, did you have something?
Just because pre-K hasn't really found its way into the communities the way it has in like New York City. I moved my family out of Hoboken a long time ago when pre-K was just becoming a thing, so that became the norm. And I think these little suburban towns like Glen Rock haven't had to take the chance on this. So what we're doing right now there's not the immediate need, but when the emergency comes, like when we have to do it, I appreciate that we're taking the efforts right now to set some of the standards, some of the practices, deal with some of the challenges. Hamilton just put on 4 more classrooms, and there's not a lot more grass that anybody really wants to take over. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this works out as it works out.
And as you mentioned, like with using this grant money that was available to us allows us to then also use other classrooms too in the future for if we want to expand sections and other classes within the elementary schools, then we have the opportunity to do that, as well as making this like a state-of-the-art space. So it is kind of like our forward thinking for being able to keep our class sizes low and as low as possible. So thank you. All right, do we have anything did you have something?
No, I was going to say something about the class sizes, which you just did, so.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. And thank you for the update. I've been hearing a lot about how we're putting kids in basements. So I think people are going to be so excited when they see it, because it is a state-of-the-art facility. It's going to really, the natural light that is coming in from the large windows you mentioned, I think will settle a lot of concerns that I've been hearing. So, thanks.
Thank you. All right. Do we have any information from liaisons?
Sure. Excuse me. I attended the middle school, high school HSA meeting on Friday, October 11th. It was the first meeting of the school year, and the HSA activities are well underway. Ms. Rivera came, the new assistant principal at the high school. She spoke to the audience. It was really nice I've met her before, but to watch her interact with parents there, speak about her impressions of the students in the high school, and one of the words that she used repeatedly was respect. So it seems like those relationships are off to a really good start. And then just some highlights. They approved the June meeting minutes. So that's a good foundation for ensuring continuity and planning and operations of the HSA. And then they also approved the financial report. So it looks like we're on solid financial position to support the initiatives and programs for the upcoming school year. But as always, we encourage folks in the community to sign up for the HSA and participate as often as possible.
Thank you very much, Ms.
Then I
Coppola.
have just one other brief update where I did contact my liaison from the town council in an effort to address some of the concerns raised regarding broken crosswalk signs in towns. I don't have an affirmative answer on exactly what the next steps are, but I did have a commitment that I would get an answer shortly.
I appreciate that. I know it's been like good to have a partnership there, so I appreciate that.
This is almost late, but in our last meeting, we discussed water filtration. And just to piggyback on your comment, that became a topic because I'm the Hamilton HSA liaison, so that gave me the opportunity to just be two ears in a room and hear the people that are discussing this topic. So I want to thank Mr. Canales here for taking that action on that, responding back, and we made a change and we gave some information back, and we now have better communication from that effort. So it's what you're doing, and it worked there too.
All right.
Just to add to that, all of the filters have been replaced, and they are all functioning.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yes.
I went to the New Jersey School Boards Association, the county meeting on Monday, the 30th. There are 71 districts going to the convention, so anybody who's going, please download the app. They highly recommend the app. I found that useful last year. Register for any of the sessions that you would be interested in. And the superintendent of Cresskill spoke to us about AI and how they were using it there. They just spoke about policy, the support for their use and training, and also some guidelines on helping to prevent the pitfalls of AI, especially with the students. So the next meeting is in December. You can attend in person or virtually. So it'd be nice if we had a bigger showing there, because it really do get some good information. You get to network with people from other towns. I sat with people from Fairlawn and from Edgewater. So it's just nice to meet other people and talk about boards and exchange ideas.
Very good point. Thank you very much. And, like the information that you glean and you share here, and I actually have a meeting with Matt Lee, I think next week, and we're going to talk about some of the other things that would get us towards the certified board and kind of get a plan for that. And so I think it all kind of wraps in, like we really just need to focus on also knowing as much as we can about our role and, being very comfortable in what we do here. So thank you for sharing that.
Ramsey was honored at that board meeting for becoming
A certified board? Oh, wow, yeah. Excellent. Okay, excellent. All right, so that leads us to our public comments on agenda items only. So I would like to open public comments at 8:16. Please state your name, your address, and you are asked to speak for no more than 3 minutes. Please. As the 3 minutes approaches, you might hear a beep, and that just is just a reminder. And that's it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Andrea Galuccio, 110 Midwood Road. In listening to the discussion about the preschool handicap classes being moved to the middle school and high school, I can't help but be dismayed and disappointed about this move. As a retired special education teacher, LDTC, and preschool handicap teacher, I have spent much of my time in basement classrooms. Nothing breeds isolation more than locating special needs classes in basements. When the preschool handicap classes are moved to the middle school and high school basements, how are interactions with appropriate age children going to occur? Middle school and high school students do not foster age-appropriate behavior, language, social, and emotional development. I find it difficult to comprehend how this situation provides the least restrictive environment for these students. How are these children going to participate in inclusive learning activities such as assemblies, art, music, and special school programs such as field days? I'm especially disturbed to learn that these children must walk upstairs to go outdoors. I did hear that there was going to be an elevator, but anybody that has been in an elevator has seen the sign, "Do not use in case of an emergency." That these children should be the first ones out, out the door, not the last. I've also known how difficult it is to keep these children calm in both a simulated and real emergency situation. Our children in these classes deserve no less than any other student in the district. I can't help but feeling that we are reverting back to a time when I first started teaching, and these children were hidden away in basement classrooms rather than being embraced and welcomed as members of the school community. Extreme care must be taken to foster their social, emotional, educational, physical growth, and safety. I urge the board members to consider this detrimental move, and as I said, I'm very disappointed. Very disappointed. Thank you.
Please. You can actually, as soon as someone is finished, then you can feel free to step up to the mic. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. Congratulations, Hamilton School. I have always supported the teachers and the wonderful students we have here in this district. I am not on social media, but I do want to go ahead and just make a comment about what you discussed at the beginning of this meeting about what took place 3 weeks ago. This administration and Board of Education, I'm sorry, did not have the back of our amazing coach in this school district. I'm a 1970 graduate from Glen Rock High School. My husband and my daughter also. I am also a past Board of Education member, and my mother served 3 terms on the board. So I know how difficult some decisions can be. However, the decision 3 weeks ago should have not been a difficult decision. In my opinion, the athletic director in his position should have always had the back of our coaches, especially one who deserved the promotion. When a school district has the talent and staff to do the job, you should never be bringing someone in from the outside. Never happened when I was on the board. Secondly, Mrs. Rundle, whose own daughter was on the basketball team, should have never voted on this issue. Never in my day of being on the Board of Education would someone vote if there's a conflict of interest. The sad part of how you handled this resulted in a talented and respected board member resigning. 2 members walked out of the board meeting. 2 members, I was told, were not present, and Mrs. Rundle, who should have abstained on the decision. That left 4 board members, so therefore it never would have been voted on. Glen Rock schools have always been one of the top-rated schools. Over the past few years, we have seen a mass exit of many teachers leave this school district. And I admit it was some of the problem with the pandemic. However, there were teachers who left because they felt lack of support and some of the decisions that this administration and school board has made. If you talk to people in this town, which I'm sure you all do, you must be aware that there is some poor morale in some areas of the district.
Thank you. If you can begin to wrap up.
Can I just finish my conclusion?
If you can find a way.
Yes.
Please. Thank you.
To conclude, this town has terrific parents who want to have top coaches and teachers so their children can get the best education this town can offer. The Board of Education Administration continues to make decisions that should support our veteran coaches. It is my hope that in the future, you will always consider the talents of our teachers and our coaches before you hire outside the district. Thank you.
My daughter.
And actually, just as a point of notification, ma'am, if you're able to just please come back to the podium and state your name and address. My apologies, I meant to say that when you were standing there.
I know that too. Of course you did. I'm being sorry. Mary Jo Dervis, 41 Cedar Street, Glen Rock.
Thank you. All right. Are there any other members of the public that would like to speak? All right. Seeing no other members of the public that would like to speak, we would like to close our public comment session at 8:25 p.m. I would also like to make a statement that there were no conflicted members there. As I understand, your daughter does not.
My daughter has never played high school basketball. Thank you.
Okay, that's all. All right. So our next meeting will be on Thursday. Our next meeting will be on Thursday. At that point, we will be doing some interviews, and that's just a special meeting for that purpose. After this meeting, we're actually going to go back into close just to do some closed discussion. And so I will need somebody to make a motion to go into close after the completion of our public session. We will not be voting on any items. It's just to discuss a board matter.
I just have one question
Yes.
before. The meeting on Thursday is open to the public, correct?
It is open
And it
to the
starts
public.
at 7 p.m., correct?
Yes.
Okay, just so
Yes.
the public knows that they're welcome to come.
Yeah,
that
and
meeting.
which is a good point of notice, just, any public meeting that we have will be posted, and just with the Open Public Meetings Act, all members of the public are able to attend whenever there's a quorum. So, thank you.
And I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Okay, motion made to end open or public session and then go into closed with no voting matters, seconded by Mr. Hayward. All right, a motion made by Karen and seconded by Mr. Hayward. All those in favor? Aye. All right, none opposed? Okay, thank you.